Hey everybody, my name is SuRaX Gaming and welcome back to another episode of the Kombat Kodex, the series where I break down 10 or 5 behind the scenes and lore facts about characters relevant to Mortal Kombat 1. Today's video is going to be about the main man himself, the actor, the superstar, Johnny Cage, who appears very consistently throughout most Mortal Kombat games, especially taking a very limelight, spotlight show of the most recent ones. Without further ado, let's break down these 10 behind the scenes and lore facts about Johnny Cage. Fact number 1. Johnny Cage is a world famous actor, or a B-list action movie star has-been who's fallen from grace, depending on whether or not you ask Cage or someone else. But what you may not know is that his name isn't actually Johnny Cage. That's a pseudonym used by Cage professionally, and he definitely lets the whole thing go to his head, drives him a little bit star-struck, crazy, whatever you would say. Johnny Cage's real name, which is Jonathan Carlton, has been known for quite some time in the background lore. However, it was only really officially touched on very recently in Mortal Kombat 1 for the first time in a mainline game, as usually it's kind of some background info. During this heated exchange with his wife Chris, she will proclaim that she does not love Johnny Cage, she loves Jonathan Carlton. And Johnny will get a little bit sad, kind of realize that he's kind of messed up, and have a drink. And then we all move on. Moving on to fact number 2. Johnny Cage is known for his shadow moves, such as his shadow kick and its iconic green / sometimes not green effect, depending on the game, that comes with his moves throughout the series. Cage is also one of the very few characters to not get a hard C sound replaced by a K, like Kombat. If you change the spelling of Cage to have a K, it becomes Kage instead, which means shadow, a reference to Johnny's power. Whether or not they did this intentionally, I'm gonna say yes. I could not find anything to back this up, but that totally seems like something John Tobias would write. So I'm gonna say yes, Johnny Kage. Moving on to fact number 3. Speaking of the Cage family power, it is revealed in the MK9 to MK11 timeline, where Johnny is one of the prominent heroes, that he is descended from a Mediterranean war cult of god killers. This is all totally news to Johnny, whose powers only truly surface at their peak when he defeats Shinnok, with the help of his green halo after Shinnok attempts to kill Sonya Blade. We know very little about this war cult, aside from them being presumably extinct now, and having super energy powers. But in Cage's MK9 ending, he must travel to Saido, the Realm of Order, to try and control his power. So I imagine it's not as simple as glowing green and shooting energy balls, there's probably some dangerous crap going on with this war cult. Moving on to fact number 4. One of the most iconic facts surrounding Johnny Cage and Mortal Kombat behind the scenes in general is the origins of the character and the actual game itself. Before Mortal Kombat was Mortal Kombat, it was a video game adaptation of the Jean-Claude Van Damme movie Bloodsport, with Jean-Claude Van Damme playing the main character in the game. John Tobias and Ed Boon made the pitch, however Jean-Claude Van Damme was not open to the idea of motion capturing and starring in a violent video game, so the premise was repurposed to be Mortal Kombat, and Jean-Claude Van Damme's character was also retooled to become Johnny Cage, action movie star who loves doing the splits and punching people in the balls. Jean-Claude Van Damme would finally agree to combat in 2023 after many years of pestering by Ed Boon, when he would be featured as a fully voiced skin for Johnny Cage in Mortal Kombat 1. Moving on to fact number 5. Johnny Cage is a world-renowned actor, famous for many roles. Some examples include Mortal Kombat 2, an inaccurate retelling of how he defeated Shao Kahn in his MK2 ending, Mortal Kombat Deadly Alliance, another inaccurate retelling of the events of Deadly Alliance from his ending in the game, Ninja Mime and its several sequels, probably his most iconic role, and you can even see the skins for Ninja Mime in Mortal Kombat X, MK11, and MK1. Some of his less successful roles include The Flesh Pits, a B-grade horror, the Dragon Fist movies, Caged Match, Caged Rage, and Citizen Cage, and many more schlockbusters. We even learn in the MKX comics that Johnny Cage has won several, I think they were called Raspberry or Blueberry Awards for Worst Actor. It's from like the first 5 issues of the comics where Jackie Briggs and Cassie Cage break some of his Worst Actor trophies, and apparently Johnny Cage is quite fond of those trophies. They teach him to never let the haters win. Or I'm misremembering the comics, let me know. Fact number 6. Johnny Cage has been a guest character outside of Mortal Kombat in the past. appearing as a playable fighter in NRS's mobile game WWE Immortals. The game plays pretty much exactly like the MKX and the first Injustice mobile game, where you collect cards and you fight other cards with limited movesets, except this one featured many WWE stars with whom Cage fit perfectly. Johnny Cage has been featured in wrestler attire and championship belts since the 3D era, so Cage's inclusion to the game felt natural. One opponent Cage faced was John Cena, whom, despite not exactly being John Cena, Johnny Cage will have a rematch with Cena when Peacemaker releases for the first combat pack of MK1, who is again technically not John Cena, but has his likeness, so it counts. Moving on to fact number 7. One of the most iconic motifs that comes packaged in the Johnny Cage box of tricks are his sunglasses. The very iconic image of Cage placing them on his head after a victory, or "those were $500 sunglasses, asshole," after Goro does what we're all thinking that one time. But Cage's sunglasses have also been used as a storytelling device to visually represent his character growth. In Mortal Kombat 9, he's cocky and arguably at his absolute worst, but more importantly, he's rockin' them shades. In Mortal Kombat X, we meet a more grown-up Johnny hardened by war and raising a daughter, and unfortunately divorced from a badass military general. And in the story mode of that game, he no longer wears his sunglasses at all, and the wisecracking gets toned down as a more serious and mature Johnny Cage steps into the forefront. Once again, this is repeated in Mortal Kombat 11, with present mature Johnny not wearing his sunglasses throughout the story, and his younger and more annoying counterpart not taking them off. They even reference this in Johnny's chapter when he must fight his past self, and he slaps the sunglasses off. And younger Johnny pulls out more sunglasses and puts them on. But thankfully, mature Johnny humbled him. Moving on to fact number 8. Johnny Cage can be unlocked as an announcer in Mortal Kombat 11 by reaching the top 10% on the Towers of Time leaderboard. When you equip Cage's announcer, he doesn't take things as seriously as Shao Kahn does, as you would expect, and will constantly be cracking jokes and digs at whichever character you choose to play as, and he will also make certain jokes about whichever stage you choose to play on. Moving on to fact number 9. Johnny Cage has seemingly always been tied to Sonya Blade. Whether it be him chasing her down and flirting with her all the time during the repeated events of the first tournament in the games and movies, to him eventually seeming to land and marry the absolute catch that is Miss Sonya Blade. After watching their marriage crumble and Sonya die during the events of MKX and 11, we are introduced to a new romantic partner from Cage's past in Mortal Kombat 1, his now ex-wife, Chris, who seems to be pretty in love with Johnny but struggling to stay with him as his career bombs, and he refuses to accept it. Cage becomes involved in the Mortal Kombat tournament after Chris can't stand his black hole of a personality anymore and walks out on him, potentially opening up some room for Sonya in the future. Moving on to our final fact of the day, fact number 10. Johnny Cage has appeared in almost all MK Media projects outside the games. He is a main character in the 1995 movie played by Linden Ashby, who returns in Annihilation to be killed off within the first 10 minutes for some reason. He is also featured in the Mortal Kombat Legacy, the fan series, played by Matt Mullins in the first season, and returned recasted as Casper Van Dien in the second. He appears as a main character in most of the classic comics and a recurring protagonist in the Mortal Kombat X comics. Johnny also appears in the first 2 animated Legends films, Scorpion's Revenge and Battle of the Realms, played by Joel McHale, and is the main character of the most recent Legends film, Cage Match, once again voiced by Joel McHale. Cage is also slated to appear in the upcoming Mortal Kombat 2 live-action film, played by Carl Urban. However, we do not know much else about the movie, as it is only resuming filming after the strikes very recently. Alright guys, that brings us to the end of this video. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you haven't already. Please hit that bell icon to be notified each time a Kombat Codex comes out. Always be first to watch. And let me know down below your favourite bit of Johnny Cage trivia and just what you think of the character overall. Thanks for watching guys, and I'll see you next time.